Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to discuss some Tampa Bay Downs and Gulfstream Park. We've got a couple of graded stakes and stops on the road to the Kentucky Derby and Oaks. So we'll look at the Grade 3 Holy Bull, the Grade 3 Forward Gal, and the Grade 3 Endeavor, which is at Tampa Bay Downs. We'll also close out with our best bets or fades of the week. But first, our transparency and accountability. We have our last week's verdict. So let's take a look at it. James, you had an outright winner in our Pegasus World Cup turf with test score and a $17 payout on a $2 win bet. I had a bad case of seconditis, but Cravaldo Oro did pay $26.40 to place and $15.40 to show for your win place show betters. And Darin, you had White Abario hit the board, so
I
congratulations.
didn't have a whole lot going on. Yeah.
That was me last
Did
week.
not, Cugino did not run well at all. And I will tell you this, though. It was unfortunate because I was single to White Abario in the pick five at the end of that day. And I was counting my money at the quarter
Yeah.
pole. I could not.
Yeah.
If you would have told me at the quarter pole that he was losing that race, I would not have believed you. He was. And if there was in race betting, he would have been 1-5 turning for home in that race.
Yeah, and Safi Joseph talked about it. He had to scratch him from a prep race in early December, and I think if he had had that prep race, he would have had the fitness factor, and he would have definitely won. Because I just think he got a little tired because he hadn't raced in so long.
It's possible.
Yeah. Congrats to Skippy Longstocking, though. First grade one win from 36 lifetime starts. So that was a little bit of a surprise. But he's always been a horse I've really liked, but I just didn't really see him outdoing his stablemate. So there you go. But let's move on to our weekend stakes action, starting with Tampa Bay Downs in race 9, the Endeavor Stakes, a grade 3. It's a mile and a 16th on the turf, 4-year-old and up fillies and mares, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. James, I'll start with you. You've got a long shot here in Scythian at 15-1.
Yes, and I talked about it on the roundtable on Tuesday, where I thought last year's 3-year-old filly turf division was excellent, and it was really flattered by Destino Diora, who at no point last year I thought was really, among the top 3 or 4 fillies in her division. I thought that Candy Quest and Scythian were both in with big chances. They both faced the sort of, the top of the line competition last year. And I went with Scythian because I just think she has more upside and will definitely be a better value than Candy Quest. And Scythian is a filly that 2 years ago, as a 2-year-old, really debuted and showed enormous potential on turf, winning her maiden first time out. Then she captured the Miss Grillo here at Saratoga as a 2-year-old. And off of this race went into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf where, okay, this isn't the Miss Grillo. This is our comeback effort on the turf this year. But, well, I'm still confused because that was her on that side.
Well, let's see. It looks like that was that her maiden win?
That was either her. That was probably her maiden win. She came back and won the Miss Grillo at
Yeah, that
Belmont,
was her maiden win.
and then on turf couldn't get her back to the races or get her back to the turf for nearly a whole year. She made her first grass start last October in a restricted allowance, and she had as troubled a trip as any horse in 2025. Granted, she went for a hole that wasn't there, but collaboration shut it down, and she completely checked, and it cost her completely that race. She came back off of that troubled trip and ran in the Jockey Club Oaks at 1 3/8 distance. It's probably a little bit too long for her. I thought she was a little rank early, and but then put a strong bid in an upper stretch to challenge, and came up a little bit short late behind a real powerhouse duo in Fionn and Laura Lynn. That race, though, will provide fitness. And I think Bill Mott, who's a 2-time winner of this Endeavor Stakes, is going to get a lot more out of Scythian as a 4-year-old. I think her best races are all in front of her. And she's coming off a 2-month freshening. I think those comeback races will serve her well, and she'll take a step forward as a 4-year-old. So I'm going to pick Scythian for an upset.
Darin, you like Candy Quest, who James mentioned as well, but you're getting 3-1 on Candy Quest. So tell us why you landed on Candy Quest.
Yeah, when I sent these picks in the morning line, I wasn't there yet, and I don't love the price at 3-1, and I'm still kind of hoping that either Al Jafar or Aussie Girl take a lot of money here, and maybe we get a little bit better of a number. I've always been a fan of Candy Quest's. She ran a very good fourth in the Memories of Silver behind Laura Lynn, who I was a huge fan of early in the season. She ran second to her in the Pennsylvania Oaks. And then she went up to Canada and ran a bang up race in the Ontario Colleen, a really good effort where she powered through the stretch and pulled away decisively. And then she went to Kentucky Downs in a race where she had a lot of trouble here. She was much farther back than she wants to be, probably going longer than she wants to go, going the mile and 5/16. And she ran against Fionn here. And that's just her to the right there on the outside of Fionn. And she's going to battle nip and tuck to the wire with that rival and just kind of get outgamed here. But they're both drawing away from the rest of the field. And we know what type of a quality filly that Fionn is. So back to what the point that James was making earlier, where you talk about how strong the 3-year-old filly turf division was this year. And Candy Quest was not in that first tier, but she was right behind them because she consistently ran well behind the best of that division. And she catches a field here that I think that form in that class would definitely stand out a bit. Her most recent try in the QE2, I think she was completely pace and trip compromised. They went 47-3 to the half mile. Lush Lips took advantage, being right up and on a very soft pace. And Candy Quest and another horse in that race who actually went off favorite, whose names escapes me right now, was second to last and last early. And you knew as they turned down the backside that neither of them had any chance whatsoever. So I forgive that effort. This is a substantial class relief for her. And I think that the class is going to show through for Candy Quest here. I'm a big fan of hers, and I think she's going to have a very big season.
And to add a point to Darin, I thought the Candy Quest, he referenced it. I thought in both her last two trips, she was too far back early. But if you look at her last year, she did show like ability to not be a one-run dead closer. I think she could be a little bit more tactically involved off the freshening and doesn't have to be like 10th or 11th in the early stages on Saturday.
I think you both landed on some really good off the pace runners that I gave a look at, but I landed on number 5 Aussie Girl, who's 7-2. I was happy I ended up with 7-2, and I don't know if I'll get it up post time, but 7-2 I thought was a fair price. This is a horse that's going to be more forwardly placed. I think the 10 will probably get the early lead, and I look for Aussie Girl to sit in second or third in the early stages. Last out, she was in the Suwannee River, and she was pulled up by Tyler Gaffleone on the first turn after she was bumped by a rival and drifted out sharply. And actually, the winner, Crevalda Oro, is who came in second in the Pegasus World Cup Filly Mare Turf last week. So kind of flatters that a little bit. But Aussie Girl is eligible to improve second start back off a layoff. She won 3 back at a mile in a non-graded stakes at Aqueduct when sitting right off that early pace setter. I'm looking for a similar trip here. Her win at Keeneland over Saffron Moon. Saffron Moon actually followed up that runner-up effort to win last year's Endeavor Stakes. And this race here is, what I'm looking to see Aussie Girl do in the Endeavor Stakes this time around. Picking up Ben Curtis, an excellent turf rider, considering run style, previous speed figures, overall form. I thought decent price of 7-2. So I'll back her with that, with hopefully this kind of trip.
Yeah, I definitely get it. She fits quite well. None of us picked Al Jafara, who I thought was a horse that coming out of her race in the Keeneland, the allowance, was going to be kind of a buzz horse last year. If I remember correctly, I think she was entered in the Wonder again against some of the marquee 3-year-old fillies in turf and scratched out of there, and then subsequently has been off now for about 10 months. So obviously there was some kind of an issue there. We'll see if she can kind of get her season back on track, but she's another exciting prospect. I do think that the filly and mare turf division, even the United States, is exceptional this year. And I think some of the runners in here can take a step forward and be at the top level. No question about it.
Yeah, I think Al Jafar is definitely dangerous. A 101 late pace rating last out. And I gave a look to the 11 here, getting 5-1 on Public Defender. Also has good late speed and second start out since transferring to Safi Joseph's barn. But I don't know if the outside post could be a little bit of a challenge. And Al Jafar is definitely in a better spot, I would say, coming off the pace and saving ground in that closer to the inside spot. Let's move over southeast in Florida to Gulfstream Park in race 10, the grade 3 forward gal, 7 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies. And this is a Kentucky Oaks points race. So top 5 finishers will earn points toward that Kentucky Oaks leaderboard. 20 goes to the winner, and it's a 4:45 p.m. Eastern time. Darin and James, you both like Sneaky Good. So Darin, I'll let you start as to your reasoning for why you like Sneaky Good.
Yeah, I've been a fan of hers in her first couple of starts. I mean, when she debuted at Keeneland, she just ran a hole in the wind that day, and that was one of those races where you put her in the stable and you want to see when she's going to run again because she has the chance to be just about any kind of racehorse. And then she followed that up with a sharp win in the Sandpiper, which I thought was an interesting place for Brad Cox to go. You don't see her go take too many fillies at that age down to Tampa Bay Downs, but he did it with this filly. But her debut, which is what you're getting a look at here, I mean, she broke well. She was up close and eager early, and pretty much just dominated this field from start to finish. And as they turn for home, you're going to watch her just kind of pull away with every single stride here without really taking much of a deep breath. She's going to, just kind of shrug off all of these challengers. Anybody who ran with her early is already backpedaled off her. She's getting complete pressure here from another horse that took a lot of money to her outside. And once they turn for home, this is just going to be no match, and she's just going to kick on impressively. But she's not a need to lead type, and I think that's kind of why I landed on her. The versatility that she showed in the Sandpiper, where she was able to take back off the pace, which was extremely sharp that day, rally boldly, and then once again pull away very impressively. And I think that's going to work out quite well for her because you know what direction C. Kane is going in. You know what direction Mythical is going in. On Time Girl and Imperatrice. These are all horses that want to be up close and if not on the lead. So I think she's going to get a good setup and might get a similar run to what she had last time. In terms of the price, I'm going to say no chance. I would like to get the number of 8-1. I don't think we will, but remains to be seen. But interesting thing to see. 3 different riders on her in 3 starts for a horse that has shown this much ability.
James, what do you have to add to that?
Yes, I'll echo those points. I just love the versatility this filly, Sneaky Good, has shown in both her career starts. I thought her debut, like Darin referenced, was more impressive visually than on paper. She was under intense pressure there, turning for home. I even thought the runner-up may have stuck a head in front of her at one point, and to say she had another gear is no another gear left or two is no understatement. And then last time it wasn't like she broke bad. The jock let the speed go in the Sandpiper, but she's only 2.5 lengths back at the second call. In a perfect catbird seat in a sense, and I could just see the similar trip today. I love a filly that shows this kind of versatility and talent and promise like Sneaky Good did. And it's really interesting. She's by Into Mischief, who sired 3 Kentucky Derby winners, and she's out of a mare by Belmont Stakes winner Tonalist. So you would be thinking long distance through and through, but Brad Cox can, basically see what these horses are good at least at this point in their career. And Sneaky Good looks like a one-turn type. And, I look for her to run big at 7 furlongs in the Ford Gal.
I almost went Sneaky Good as well. I did my handicapping before the morning line, and I had a feeling you'd get a better price on her for sure over the other Brad Cox runner, On Time Girl, who's our 9-5 morning line favorite, but also Sneaky Good with the run style, a benefit coming from off the pace with all of these front running types. But I did go with one of the front runners and Mythical after looking over it. First of all, On Time Girl, very strong coming off that 3.5 length win in the Fern Creek Stakes, but recorded a 96% speed figure, which was a big jump compared to her previous speed figures. Almost wonder if it could be a bounce here. And I do think that I'm hoping Mythical can be a little bit faster. This is a horse who is a horse for the course, 3 for 3, and won by 12 lengths, running the 7 furlong distance at Gulfstream in a state restricted stakes, the Susan's Girl Stakes. And her lone loss from 6 starts was to Tommy Joe, who's one of the top Oaks contenders at the moment. Mythical has a top speed figure of a 105, winning the Tremont at Saratoga, and consistently has put up speed figures in the 90s overall. There's a few where she strayed from that number, but overall has put up some pretty strong numbers. So I decided to go with one of the front runners who I'm just hoping can wire the field here and seems to really like this course and has that benefit of home field advantage. So I'm getting 5-2. I thought that was okay for the price of 5-2 and trying to not take the 9-5 or the very short price we're going to probably see on Time Girl.
Yeah, I'm sorry, James, go ahead.
I was to say fair point on Mythical. She won those first 3 starts, including the Adirondack, with the greatest of ease. She took it on the chin in the spin away against Tommy Joe at Percy's Bar. But I like how she's responded off those 2 losses. So yeah, she's definitely going to have a chance, and I think she's going to. I think she has more natural speed than On Time Girl and potentially Sakan. So it'll be interesting to see whether she makes the front or she'll be running head and head with Sakan potentially to her inside.
So my knock on Mythical is this. I know she won last time at a mile and a 16th, and I know she won going 7 furlongs. Last time out, she beat Dare Greatly and WinBet Only in a Florida bred stake. The difference between what she ran against last time and the start before and what she's running against here, you could not have a larger chasm in terms of the quality of horses. And they could have run the last race at 2 miles. None of those horses were going to beat her. So I think that might be propping it up a little bit. And I am dubious of her against this quality of competition at a 7 furlong distance, because I do think she's going to prove to be best sprinting 5.5, 6. And I think when she goes up against this level, I think she has a little bit more potential to come back to them than she would in a Florida bred race, because just like, for example, she won a mile and a 16th. Would you like her in the Devona Dale, when they go a mile and a 16th? I think that race is just a little bit more propped up by the fact that she won wire to wire against lackluster competition, and doesn't necessarily mean that she really even wants to go 7 furlongs against this caliber. So that's at a shorter price. That's the angle I'm taking to fade her in this spot.
That's a fair point. I mean, she was in state restricted stakes the last 2, but the grade 3 Adirondack, the Tremont, is kind of what I was looking at, how she ran those races. So it could be that she ends up fading badly from having to battle it out with On Time Girl and maybe Sakan as well. But yeah, my hope is that she just gets a clear lead and is able to hold on to the end. So, but you all are in a good spot with the off the pace runner in this field. And yeah, maybe we won't get 8-1 because the word is out clearly from the both of you. Let's move over to our promos and tournaments before we finish up with the grade 3 Holy Bull and our best bets of the week. So Darin, what's going on at TwinSpires?
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff this weekend. Even though we've had a lot of cancellations, I really have to commend the job that our product team and our promotions team has done in kind of adjusting and pivoting on the fly. A $10,000 win ladder is going to be our marquee offer this week. We're supposed to include Oaklawn with their racing on Southwest Day, but that's come out of the equation. So it is right now actually a Gulfstream Park and Aqueduct win ladder. We will see if Aqueduct actually does run, because it's going to be very cold here in New York. So it could end up being just Gulfstream. It could be Gulfstream and Aqueduct. We're going to kind of adjust as it goes. But regardless, it's going to be a $10,000 win ladder. So again, it rewards win bets of $10, the most simple wager. We've had people cash in for over $5,000 for being in the top rung in these events in the past as well. So everybody engages really well in this offer. They seem to love it, so we're going to keep offering it. And pay attention to the cancellations, and we'll see if it's Gulfstream and Aqueduct or just Gulfstream. It's still kind of to be determined at this point. And then we added this one last minute, again, because of the cancellations. We want to try to give something out. So we're going to have a 15% profit boost on Santa Anita's card on Saturday, which is a really good card featuring the Megahertz, which came up as a pretty strong race as well. So you have this profit boost on Win Place. On Win, Exacta, and Trifecta, Superfecta wagering. 15% boost on your winnings. So we're going to pump it up if you're fortunate enough to cash a ticket. A couple of good promos on the marquee events this weekend. And then on the tournament front, again, pivoting. Saturday was supposed to be the Southwest Stakes qualifier. It is now a Tampa Bay Downs Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge qualifier. $600 gets you into that event. One seat, I believe, for every 17 entries is going to be awarded into the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge, which already has 71 people qualified, which is tremendous. We didn't have 71 people qualified to the KDBC last year until Kentucky Derby week. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve this year. And then on Friday, we have a bonus feeder Friday on the fairgrounds, $240 into that qualifier on Saturday. Bonus feeder means a 20% discount on seats once we get to 10 entries. It'll be 1 seat awarded for every 4 entries once we have our 10th player in the event. So you're not going to get a better ratio than that. and we're happy to put up some of the cash to pay for those bonus seats as well. The more people that go in, the more we pay, but the more seats we reward. So happy to do it for our tournament players.
And I did want to mention we're not covering on the show, but the Wither Stakes at Aqueduct, if they run, is also a points race for the Kentucky Derby, and you have Otino in there, who was in Pool 3 of the Kentucky Derby Future Wager, heavy favorite for Chad Brown, but well, he's 8-5, and then his stablemate is 2-1, who is Schoolyard Superman. So
21 degrees.
Winner.
Yeah, 21 degrees in New York City on Saturday. They canceled Friday when it's 19. So I'm a little concerned if those 2 degrees are going to make a lot of difference. I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Well, next up, it's race 12, the Grade 3 Holy Bull, also a points race for the Kentucky Derby, 20 points to the winner. 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th, 5:45 p.m. Eastern time. I guess we could all just say it at once who our top pick is in this race. It is Cannoneer. So let's see, James, I'll let you go first on why you like Cannoneer.
Well, Cannoneer debuted on June 1st at Churchill. He showed speed from the gate, weekend to be third to Comport. It came back and ran in a couple stakes races, but came back off a freshening on the Stars of Tomorrow 2 program, the closing Saturday during the fall meet in late November, and took a significant step forward. It wasn't just wasn't the he showed speed from the gate like he did in his debut, get out there towards the front. He's on the inside taking the lead now, and just the way he drew off in the stretch there's a loose horse in there. I forgot about that. Just the way, but watch this in the stretch run, the way that Cannoneer draws off. Just drew off. He galloped out after the finish line. They couldn't pull him up. And just, I thought it was a monstrous performance by an extremely promising individual who's come back. And I think he's been training with Cox's A string at Payson Park. He's got 3 consecutive 5-furlong bullet works at preparation. I played him in Pool 3 of the Kentucky Derby Future Wager at 34-1. And I think he's going to show up with a big effort. Now, the caveat is that I remember Patch Adams breaking his maiden at 7 furlongs, just in splendid style. And he had a mouth-watering pedigree for 2 turns, and it didn't work out. But Cannoneer, he's bred through and through on both his dam side and being a son of Inda Mischief, who we've referenced before, to relish added ground. The other thing is the pace scenario. This race didn't get us that much speed, considering 2 horses are going to scratch. Butane didn't ship, and Chad Summers is expected to scratch game for it. But just not that much speed, guys, I didn't think, in this field. Mm-hmm. And I just envisioned Cannoneer going right to the front, getting a dream trip with Irad Ortiz Jr. in his comeback.
Darin, what else is there to say?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the race the same way from a tactic standpoint. I thought that plays to his advantage. I think if you have potential to be lone speed going a mile and a 16th with that short run, very short run into the first turn at Gulfstream Park, and that can't be understated, and the short stretch at Gulfstream Park over a track that already plays kindly to speed. I think when you put all that together, with a talented horse, it typically results in a peak effort. I was impressed overall just how good this race came up. Incredibolt is giving me some Sovereignty vibes in the way he's won at Churchill Downs in his last couple of starts, especially the most recent performance. And then from there, remains to be seen, but how good is Nearly going to be? Not this time is, if somebody told you he's the best stallion in the world right now, you'd have a hard time arguing against it. But this horse ran a hole in the wind going 7 furlongs last time out for Todd Pletcher. So I was impressed just even with the scratch of Butane, how solid this field came up for the Holy Bull. And, in the recent past and some of these Derby preps that we've talked about, going into it and coming out of it, I've kind of had similar opinions where I'm not necessarily sold that there's a real Derby prospect in here. Going into this race, I would say there is tremendous potential that there's a Derby prospect in this race.
Nearly closed at 20-1 in Pool 3, so he took a bunch of money a couple weeks ago. And I also mentioned Global Aviator as far as the others in here. That was a pretty good eye-catchy turn of foot he offered to win first out. He's got a little bit of buzz as well. So I agree with Darin. It's a really solid field for the first prep at Gulfstream this year.
Yeah, three of these horses were in Pool 3, and Cannoneer finished at 24-1, closed at 24-1 in Pool 3. A lot of our colleagues have been big on this horse. I know Tony Kalo was very excited to put money on this horse, and I think was he in Pool 2 as well? I know Tony, maybe.
No, Pool 3. He was in
Okay,
Pool
only
2.
Pool 3.
Pool 2 took place the weekend he raced. He broke
Okay.
his main.
Yeah, I know. I remember like during the meet, Tony Kalo talking about this horse very early on. So I've been kind of watching out for him, and you all, I mean, we've all mentioned at this point the run style, not a lot of speed that he has to compete with. I think he's going to wire the field like I hope Mythical does as well in the other race. And yeah, just the pedigree, Catch the Moon, all of the stakes winners that she's produced, Gervin, Midnight Bourbon, Cocked and Loaded, Pirate's Punch. I don't know what else you can say. I mean, we're all on the same horse, and he's the second choice on the morning line, technically. The Holy Bull has, in the last several editions, actually been really unfavorable to the post-time favorite. There's only been 2 favorites to win in the last 10 years, but hey, I mean, I think Cannoneer probably goes off favored, but I think he can definitely kind of break that curse going on with the favorites and the Holy Bull. Anything else to say on this horse? I mean, I don't know what else we can say.
I think the Florida division right now looks like it's the best division out there. 3-year-olds, they still got to prove it, but it's a pretty deep group based down there.
Yep. And to finish up, we have our best bets or fades of the week. We all went with the best bet this week. And Darin, you're up first.
Yeah, mine is a best bet fade combo. So in race number 7, this entry level allowance going 11 furlongs on the turf. Concord Green, I thought was very interesting. A horse that throughout his career has really run against some quality runners in some very difficult spots. And at times he's just been too far behind because he's not very fleet of foot early on. I think this horse is going to relish the additional ground. He's by Warfront out of an Arch mare. The pedigree says that this horse should absolutely love every bit of the 11 furlongs. And last time out, he actually had a lot of run there and got himself in a lot of trouble before he came rallying a bit and passing horses extremely late, going a mile in the 16th. I think the slower pace early and the additional ground is really going to move this horse forward. And I love the price at 10-1. And I'm combining that with the fact that I'm against number 10 Without here. Without has a lone win at Deauville. And then in March of last year at St. Cloud, finished third behind a horse by the name of Aiden's Phone. Aiden's Phone cinched that win, ran 6th of 7 horses, beaten 8 lengths in a Group 3 at Longchamp, ran last of 5, beaten 18 lengths in a Group 3 at St. Cloud, and ran 7th of 9, beaten 11 lengths in a 21,000 listed race at Marseille. So I don't necessarily think that Without is coming out of an extremely strong race. I think it's going to be overbet with the European running lines. And Grand Motion has a negative ROI, despite a decent win percentage, but a negative ROI with horses that make their first start for him in North America, typically because they take too much money. So Concord Green, 10-1, yes. Without, 9-5, no.
Okay. I was giving a look at White Palomino too, just that you're getting 8-1, and that horse is barely missed in a grade 1, going almost the distance, and then again barely missed in the at a mile and an eighth. But
comes out of the same race as my horse, and I watched the replay several times and watched him. I just saw an excuse for Concord Green. I just didn't necessarily think. Now, granted, he might have needed the race off a 5-month layoff, but if I was going to look at those two side by side, I thought that Concord Green had more upside given the trip and the circumstances of the last race that they both come out of.
You've been back in Shug McGahee a lot too, I've noticed lately.
I'm a big Shug guy. Big Shug guy.
All right, James, you're up on Mary's Lad.
Yeah, race number 7. It's a allowance and optional claimer at a mile on turf. And I think number 4, Mary's Lad, is really well spotted in here for Whit Beckman. This is a 4-year-old gelding. Didn't debut until May last year. It was 3-year-old season. And he needed time between his first 3 starts. Came back from a freshening, a 2.5 month freshening last time at Gulfstream. And I thought he got sort of stuck up in traffic and then he had to swing wide, and really it finished up well. The past the hat just got a better trip, I thought, and beat him on the square. But really a good race to build upon. And the fact that he comes right back 4 weeks later, he's got a half-mile bullet work. He's got 2 works in the interim and a half-mile bullet. I think that Whit Begman finally's got Mary's Lad like where he needs him, and he's going to improve upon that last effort and run a big race. So just a single for multi-race perspective at 4-1 on the morning line, Mary's Lad in race 9.
I like it. I agree with you. And then I'll close out with, okay, I know Spanish, not Italian. Dice sette? Darin?
Good.
Okay.
Good. It's close enough.
DJ Sette in race 8 at Gulfstream Park, the Soil. And the morning line was not out when I handicapped this race, but 4-1, it's fine. Won first 2 starts at 5 furlongs and 6 furlongs, including the Proudman Stakes at Gulfstream, and then stretched out to 8.5 furlongs in the Breeders' Futurity and finished behind champion 2-year-old Ted Noffey, but cutting back in distance, coming off a 3-month layoff and dropping in class, gets Junior Alvarado, who's a 19% winner at Gulfstream. So I decided to go with the off the pace runner. I think Solitude Dude's going to be really tough. He's 6-5, but you're getting a better price with a different run style with the 5 Dice Sette, which means
good.
17.
It does, yeah. Dice Sette is exactly how you say it. You've done well.
Even that class president is going to be intriguing to see how he runs in there. Yeah. So yeah, you'll get a fair value with those 2 rivals, I think.
Yeah, that note. He was the horse I was interested in pool 3, and he closed at 50-1. So will be one to watch and see how he runs. This is a shorter distance, but if he runs well.
He beat that Bob's Dylan last time, and Bob's Dylan ran second to your horse Mob in his maiden win at Churchill.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's all we have today for the TwinSpires jury. We'll be back next week with more of our top plays and our best bets or fades. So we'll see you next time.